Damn, these shirts are getting shorter or my belly's getting bigger. One of the two.
Welcome to Jimbo's Garage.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Jimbo's Garage. Today's video, I'm going to be making probably one of the smaller gates I've ever made. It's about 4 foot tall and about 37 inches wide. It's going to have a radius top to it and some decor on the inside. I've got a drawing here. I'll show you what that's going to look like, and we'll get started on today's video. Today's video is sponsored by King Metals. They've got all your fabrication needs in one location. From hinges to hardware, balusters to metal decor, brass to aluminum, and a whole lot more. You name it, they've got it. Check them out today at kingmetals.com. Now let's get back to today's video. Okay, so basically here is the gate. And you can see that we're using 3-inch material for the top and sides, 4-inch material for the bottom gate frame, and the top is radius. Now this material is also 2 inches wide, so it's 2 by 3 on the sides, 2 by 4 on the bottom. We've got this diagonal flat bar running in between here. Now this is hammered on all 4 sides. Got this at King Metals. And I'm not going to weave it because it's 3/16 thick, but we are going to place it on top of each other back and forth on this pattern right here. Be an interesting little build. Let's get started. Today's project. All right, before we get started, I want to mention there's a full set of plans and a cut sheet for material for this particular project on my website, jimbosgarage.com. All right, so I'm getting started here. You can see I've got a piece of 2-inch by 3-inch rectangular tubing that I had rolled, not at my local metal supply store. They couldn't do this. It's too big for them, so I had it shipped out to a company, Paramount Roll and Form. They're in the LA area, and they were able to get this done for me. Did a pretty good job. Pretty expensive, but at least I got it done. All right, you can see I'm cutting this out right now, and I've laid it out on my welding table. I've got everything what I thought square, and this happens to me all the time, especially when I make cuts like this. I just understand. I've done it so many times, and I've laid out everything on my welding table nice and square, but it just seems like I always have a big gap to fill, and that's no different with this project right here. It wasn't quite as big as some of the gaps in the past, but nevertheless, it just seems like there's always a 3/16 or a 1/4 inch gap to fill somehow. But I mean, it looks like I'm cutting everything right on the line, and everything, the cuts are nice and square and straight, but for some reason, I never seem to get them right. All right, this is, I was able to make these cuts on my cutoff saw here. This angle was about 30 or 32 degrees, so I was able to make that cut. All right, this is the first initial fit up right here. You can see that I've got everything long. I'm squaring it to the end of my welding table right here, and then I'm going to square this piece in and get it clamped down as well. And I'm getting ready to fit up the bottom piece. Now, remember the side rails are 2-inch by 3-inch rectangular tube. The bottom rail is a 2 by 4. So I'm just laying out here, getting my marks again. Nice and straight, nice and square. Now this is a long angle. Couldn't fit this in the cutoff saw, so I'm having to do it with the grinder and a cutoff wheel here. But once again, I mean, these cuts are nice and straight. I just don't know why I keep getting gaps. Well, I don't know. Been doing this forever, and it just seems to never change. Yeah, that's a pretty nice looking cut there. And here's another one right on the line. A little bit of an overcut there, but nothing a weld can't take care of. That one there too. All right, I was able to make this cut here also on the cutoff saw. The angle was right, a little bit less than 45. All right, so now this is the final fit up. Everything is looking good. Everything fits in nice and good. I'm going to check for square right there and right there, right on the money. Good, I'm ready to move forward. All right, so today I'm operating off of the brand new HTP MIG 2800i. This is another brand new machine from HTP. I've been working with it for about 3 weeks now. I'm getting used to it, and I really love it. HTP has really knocked it out of the park this last year and a half, starting with the Revolution 2500 and then the Invertig 251DV. incredible machine. And now the MiG 2800i. What I like about this machine is the portability, able to roll it around. It's on wheels, so a lot of times I get big projects on my welding table and I can't, my gun lead don't quite reach it, and it's always been a problem. So this is I'm able to use this machine and roll it around and get it where I need it to go. And another thing too is from welding thin material, you can weld. This is 063, and yes, I do have a gap, but if it didn't have a gap, it's just welding 063. It's thin material all the way up to, I don't know, I've welded as much as half-inch plate with the 2800i as of late, and it works really well. Super high powered, and I like the short circuit MIG and also the spray arc MIG. It has both functions, and both of them work really well. And I believe now they got software available that includes pulse with this machine. All right, just cleaning things up right here, getting the welds right, filling in all the gaps, just like I'm doing right here. So clean weld all the way across right there. When you got a tight fit up, it works well. And then, of course, the bottom right here, you can see the gap on the other side. It's about 1/4 of an inch. I don't know how I get these gaps, but anyway, it takes a little time to fill that gap. All right, well, there it is. That part of it's all done and ground and clean, and so now it's time to start laying in these bars, the decor bars on the inside. I think these were 3/16 by 3/4 inch hammered all four sides, flat bar. Got these at King Metals. King Metals has all the stuff you need for any kind of metal fabrication, especially if you're doing gates or handrails or balusters or anything like that. They got all kinds of really cool stuff. All right, so the plans offer dimensions for all of the angles right here. And I'm double checking here, making my dimensions, writing everything down. So when I go ahead and assemble this thing, I just need to follow these dimensions, and hopefully everything lines up. All right, so I'm over here at the cutoff saw. Now you can see that I've got a piece of flat bar in the table area there, and I've pushed it so I can make my cuts to the back. I tried it without it, and it just shoots the metal off to the side right there. Kind of dangerous, kind of crazy. And so I put that flat bar in there to kind of push the material forward. Now I know the table on this saw is adjustable. I know you can, there's a couple of cap screws in the back that you can undo and slide the table, forward or backwards or whatever you need. But by the time I did all that and made that adjustment, it's just as easy to put a piece of flat bar right in there, and everything worked well like that. All right, with all the pieces cut, it's time to start assembling here. You can see I've got some layout marks on the frame itself, and that's fine, and I just don't quite trust those. I'm going to be laying these things in and checking it out with a little scale. I have to be 5 inches between each one of these. I'm just be sure that I'm there, especially on both ends. Hindsight, I guess if I was doing production, it would be nice to, I just could have maybe cut a piece of some material that was 5 inches instead of using my scale, and that probably would have been a lot easier and a lot faster. But before I figured all that out, I was almost 3/4 of the way done with the project, so I just kept going with what I was using there. All right, so far so good, and you can see I've got that wood there. It's a piece of 5-inch plywood. That's just to get the material up to the center of the gate frame. And everything is so far moving along here. Checking 5 inches on center. Everything is good. Got to the last piece in this corner right here, and you may look at that and say, hey, that piece is not square to the corner. And I saw that, and I thought the same thing, but I referred to the drawing, and the drawing clearly shows that that piece is off-center. It probably has something to do with the dimension of the gate, the layout, all of that stuff. All right, it's time to go the other way now, and this is the same thing with this. I'm starting to see where it doesn't quite look like they line up. One side overlaps and one side's a little bit short of the other piece, but that is just the way. Again, I had to refer to the drawing, and that's exactly the way the drawing has it. You can see up at the top there, it looks like it's a little short of coming together, but then on the bottom here, you'll see it in a different angle. It is overlapping. That's just the way it was designed. All right, moving along right here, getting down to the last couple pieces. And here's a good example. You can see on the left right there where it doesn't quite come to the corner right there of that one, but not yet on the other side, it's overlapping, and it just didn't look right. I had to refer to the drawing. The drawing, that's exactly what the drawing showed. So, so far, everything is lining up just the way the plans are. You know, you get down to the last piece. Isn't it always the last piece? Isn't it you know, if you're doing multiple things like this, it just seems like it's the last piece that gives you a bit of a problem. I had the hardest time trying to get this thing lined up where it needed to be. It just was a problem. My weld was in the way. I had to grind that weld down a little bit. Everything just didn't seem right. The angle didn't seem right, but ultimately I found the sweet spot. And I got it right there. Had to lift it up a little bit. And then, all right, there it is. All right, I double checked everything. I was happy with it. Everything was right on size. It was working according to the plans. And now it's time to just weld all this out. When I started welding, I thought, well, maybe I'll just do every other one. That's all it really needs. But then I started thinking, you know, I don't know, maybe for aesthetic purposes, I need to weld everything, both sides, give it that look that maybe it was, you know, much more rugged or complete by having welds on both sides and welding everything up. Didn't need it for strength, just an aesthetics deal. Yeah, I think it just looks a little bit better when you have the welds on both sides. It makes it look, like I said, a little bit more complete. All right, I got it stood up vertically and just finishing the last few welds right here. 2800i is working flawlessly. All right, there it is, all done. I like it, looks good. Now it's time to make the latch assembly. Something a little bit different. Never done anything like this before. The customer pointed it out to me and said this might be something cool he'd like to have. Showed me the picture and I'm going to give it a try. Basically, it's just a piece of 1/4 inch round bar right here, and I've made this jig to put in the vise just to make this bend right here. The bend has to be perfect, and I couldn't think of another way, a better way of doing it other than to just set up, make a jig, and then make that bend. And then this is a piece of, I believe it's 1.5 inch, 0.95 wall thickness piece of pipe, and I cut off about a 1/2 inch piece there. And over here, and deburring both sides, outside and inside. This piece of round pipe is going to be riding inside of that 1/4 inch round bar, and it needs to work fairly smoothly, so I got to have everything rounded off and nice and smooth. All right, I'm now cutting everything to size right here. I've got that piece, and then I need a smaller little piece that's going to go right in the middle, just like that, and the ring is going to go inside of that, and then this is the assembly right here. Goes something like that. You can see I've got some marks right there. I've got it shimmed up to where everything is in the middle. A little bit of work to get this right. I had a couple of issues there, but I got it right eventually. All right, and this is just the mounting pieces that I'm going to weld it to, and then I'm looking for a piece of bar for actual the latch itself. It's going to the pin that's going to close inside of the circle there. You'll see that a little bit later. And then I'm just welding this onto the plate that I'm going to weld to the frame. A little bit problem with that circle. Somehow or another, something got on there and it got stuck. I had to go to my vise and you know, deburr that or knock it loose, and I finally got it working properly there. All right, and this is the pin. One gets welded to the gate, the other gets welded to the post. Pretty simple little latch assembly, but interesting, very interesting. So it goes something like this, and technically you lift that thing up and it slides in and locks itself in. Pretty cool idea. We'll get that welded on here a little bit later. The very first thing is I need to get these hinges welded to the posts. And I use weld-on hinges or bullet hinges. People call them different things. Important thing is to get them lined up nice and straight, and then I like to double check to be sure everything's working good, and it is. And then I'm going to go ahead and finish welding it. Now they provide this flat spot. You can see it right there on the top part of the hinge right there. That is the only place you're going to weld. Just weld on that flat spot. That's what it's designed for. When you get those welded on, it's a good idea to just let them sit for a while. All right, here's the latch assembly. You can see I got some holes in there. My first thought was, all right, I'm going to screw it on to the post and to the gate. Maybe I have to do some adjustment. And then after thinking about it, I decided, nope, I got confidence. I'm just going to weld it right where it is. And I'm going to fill in those screw holes right there. I don't need those anymore. I'm sure this gate's going to work. This latch is going to work, I should say. All right, just clean everything up. Off to the powder coaters it goes, and then there it is installed. Good looking gate. I really like it. It fits well, well proportioned for the walls right there, and I think it just gives it a good look. And this is the way the latch opens and closes. Really nice assembly. It's a great little project. Don't forget, I've got plans available on my website for this project, JIMBO'sGarage.com. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you on the next video.
See you next time on Jimbo's Garage.